was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to my camera's screwing up again. Dang it. Welcome to Amazon Answers. I am Jared, and today I am discussing the George Perez run for Wonder Woman, which is, according to everyone that knows Wonder Woman, the greatest Wonder Woman run of all time. Like, when you think of the definitive run for Wonder Woman and the one that everyone builds off of. What's up, Julian? When you think of the Wonder Woman run that everyone builds off of and uses as the foundation, whether or not that's like in name only, like Tom King, or actually people like Greg Rucka and the like, it is this run. Like, this is the definitive, this is the foundation upon everything that Wonder Woman is in the modern day. So let's discuss this. So Crisis on Infinite Earths happens. And obviously, for the most part, they wanted to start fresh. Pretend like we never published any comics beforehand. Kind of like Flashpoint. Only in this case, they meant it. So what they did was, they were like, okay, so we have John Byrne on Superman. That would later blow up in their faces. But let's put George Perez on Wonder Woman. And Perez was the artist on Crisis, so we already knew his art was going to be solid, but it's like now he's going to be the writer-artist of Wonder Woman. And this is what I point to when, number one, people talk about only women should write Wonder Woman, and I go, if that were true, you wouldn't have the Perez Wonder Woman. And two, this is what happens when you have a writer that clearly loves the character and her world and wants to respect the character and her world. Like, this is the antithesis of Tom King's Wonder Woman. This right here is the Wonder Woman run for everyone. So let's talk about what this does. So first off, what this establishes is that the Amazons were basically the reincarnated spirits of women killed via domestic violence and such. And they were created as like a way of showing man's world, like, where to go, the ideal direction. And what happened is the Amazons like encountered Hercules. Yeah, I think it was Hercules. Hercules ended up being a complete and utter D-bag, and the Amazons like fought for freedom against Hercules. They escaped, and then they found the island of Themyscira, and then they built it up as like as their own warrior society. Now, where does Diana come in on this? So Hippolyta and Diana are the reincarnated souls of a woman and her baby that were killed by a caveman, essentially. So Diana is made from clay, and she gets the blessings of Demeter, Aphrodite, Athena, Artemis, Hestia, and Hermes, and they all bless. So Hippolyta molds Diana from clay, and then the gods imbue her with their blessings, if you will, and she becomes the champion of the gods, in other words. So that's kind of Diana's origin on this. The other thing that the Perez run did that I think drastically helped the character is that there really is no love interest in this run. Yes, there are some parts of it where she has feelings for Superman, but for the most part, there is no like central love interest. Steve is an older man that is like he's more of a confidant / father / brother figure in her life, and that's honestly the way he should be, because if he has to play a role in her stories, period, because in my mind he doesn't, I would just make it where he is essentially the he's essentially the like guide for Wonder Woman, because if you try and make him a love interest, he just doesn't work as a love interest for Diana, because it's more like, okay, wait a second, he doesn't work when you're encountering characters like the gods. So it's very interesting the way that ends up. But so go ahead and drop in the comments your questions about George Perez, Wonder Woman, what you guys would like to me to address. But this is just going to be me geeking out about what is probably the best and most well-drawn like run of Wonder Woman. And I'll pull up some panels and we can go through that as well. So let me do first. I'll pull up some a page. So this is the first issue of George Perez Wonder Woman, and I just love this cover. It has everyone that's important in Diana's life, all the gods, including her mother. And then you have this dope splash page entrance. And then Hooded Raven, what's up, dude? He says, I've never looked into Wonder Woman's background. Different, not what I thought it would be. Yeah, I mean, they vacillate between the Zeus origin or the clay origin. The better one is the clay origin because of what it represents for Wonder Woman. But anyway, so then you get the first thing that I want to bring up about George Perez on Wonder Woman. So here's like the caveman that killed his wife in anger, and the souls came out. Now here's the first part. This page I think is part and parcel to what makes George Perez such a fantastic Wonder Woman writer, is the detail that he put into every single one of these pages. It's like all of this. It every single time you turn a page in the George Perez Wonder Woman one, you have to like stop and like take it in. It's a lot of like, it encourages you to read slowly so that not only can you like process what's being said and done, but you can also like essentially take in all the dope like art images that he draws in this. So then we have, let me just zoom out real quick. We see all the gods, and then the gods decide to create like their champions of truth, which are the Amazons. And then Hippolyta becomes the queen because she is the first to venture onto the beach. We see Hercules, and then Diana's future mother being manipulated by Hercules. They escape, slay Hercules' men, and then they escape to the island of Themyscira. Then they build up their society. But Hippolyta feels this emptiness because it's part of like the motherly spirit that she is like, that like she is the reincarnated spirit of, that's like is pushing her to want a child. So what she does is she goes onto the beach of Themyscira, molds Diana out of clay, and prays to the gods that they would bring life into the mold. And then all the gods show up and pour their power into Diana. And then there you go, some nice little Diana becomes like a regular child. And this is why you can't ship Diana with any of the Amazons, because she is and this is in keeping with DC lore currently. She is like the first child on Themyscira. Everyone else is immortal. You can't do that. And then what you discover, here's the interesting thing about the Perez run. So Steve is not the reason why Diana first goes to man's world, because if you notice here, it's like they discover that like the gods want her to go on a trial. The gods want. So Ares is in man's world screwing up. So the gods want the Amazons to send a champion to go take out Ares. So all of the Amazons hold the contest. And then Diana wins by like concealing her identity. But because of the tradition, she is allowed to compete. Do you think George Perez has the best Hippolyta too? Yeah. At literally every part of Wonder Woman's world, he has the best version of. Like, there is nothing that he did here that I really think was bad, besides having Hippolyta later fall in love with Hercules later, when Hercules is like, quote unquote, redeemed. I don't think that was necessarily the best option, but I like this. I also love all George Perez's like what's the word? Facial expressions, but Diana goes in and then dresses up in the costume. Then we also reveal why Diana is named Diana and what the costume is made from. So Steve Trevor's mother, Diana Trevor, crash lands on the island as there's like an attack and the gates of Tartarus are opening. The Doom's doorway is opening, and Diana Trevor sacrifices her life to close Doom's doorway. So in deference to her, they make the Wonder Woman costume in like the American flag, like, and then when Hippolyta makes Diana, she names her Diana. So that's kind of the way that like goes through. And then we have like more Diana stuff. And then issue 2 is where we get to Steve Trevor crash landing on the island. Again, this is the interesting thing. And actually it was kind of funny. I'm going to flip through this real quick. So Steve crashes and he's like out. But then Hermes brings Diana to man's world even before Steve, like, even before Diana brings Steve back to man's world. So that's the funny part, is like Diana doesn't even need Steve to leave the island and go to man's world. So really, I'm like, if his one purpose actually is not really required. See, that's the thing. With the Perez Wonder Woman run and with Raqqa and with Jimenez, with a lot of the post-crisis Wonder Woman, what this actually does is this does what Tom King, this reminds me of a show I've watched called Xena Warrior Princess. Well, Xena, I think, was heavily inspired by Wonder Woman, so it wouldn't surprise me. By the way, let me know if you want Britt and I to review that show. But the cool thing about this is, so the theme of post-crisis is, see, this is what Tom King wants to do with his it says he wants to do with his Wonder Woman run, because he brought up that the reason why he didn't want to have the gods or the Wonder Girls in the series at all is because he wants to show you why Diana is awesome. And I go, okay, that's great, but you actually have to do it. But he spends too much time on Steve. Perez makes you know why Diana is awesome, because not once during the Perez run or even post-crisis does Diana really get a solid love interest, and not once is Diana not the deciding, like, the active participant in the plot. Like, the plot doesn't advance without Diana. Like that's how you prove to me that Diana's awesome. If you want to know why Diana is an awesome character, just read the Perez Wonder Woman run. That's where you really get, this is why this character has endured for so long, particularly since post-crisis, and why people adore, myself included, Wonder Woman in general, and why this is the Wonder Woman run. And I only have the first volume of the omnibus because they haven't reprinted the other two. But I plan on, as soon as they do that, reprint it, because this only has the first 24 issues along with the annual. But yeah, so go ahead and drop your Wonder Woman related questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the Perez one, but that's the theme I'm doing this week, because future weeks I'm going to be going over like all the major Wonder Woman runs. And next week I'm going to do Simone, then I'll do Azzarello, and then hopefully I can do Jimenez at a future date, because the omnibus is coming out, so I have to actually read that omnibus. But still, when did the invisible jet idea come into play? That comes in. I don't know if that was a pre-crisis idea, but in this, because when Steve crashes, the Amazons rebuild his jet, and then they like give it like stealth technology. So she flies him out of that Themyscira into man's world. I'm looking that up right now. But okay. Yeah, so she goes back, she brings Steve back, I believe, in the jet. I'm flipping through my omnibus right now to check that out, but I'm fairly certain that's how that turns out. The other thing that this does is establishes and really develop the characters of Julia and Vanessa Capitelis, because they are like the characters that help develop who Wonder Woman is as a character. So I'm like that, because Julia is like Diana's like surrogate mom, and Vanessa is like her baby sister, and you can't exclude those characters. Julian S., What are your thoughts on Wonder Woman's original weakness, the tied up one? I don't like it. That was just because Marston had a bondage thing. And that's the thing. It's like when you actually look into who Marston was as a guy, he may claim to be a feminist, but for a feminist, he believed a lot in in being dominated by women or dominating women. So I go, bro. And then NJ says, one of the many reasons I love this run is that he made flight without any aid as one of her major power sets. I hope writers outside of comics, including the DCU, don't take that away from you. It's just wrong. Well, here's the thing, NJ. That's been part of her character for so long. You can't, like, take that out. I mean, even the DCEU, she eventually got the flight ability, like as early as Justice League. So it's not like she has ever really been without the power of flight. But in terms of like general depiction, because I think that like they're particularly with the DCU, I think they're going to go straight in. They're going to use a lot of the Perez and at least Jimenez run as inspiration, and though all of those runs she flew. So in terms of like power sets, I would imagine the power sets of the foundation of Perez is where they take the most inspiration for the character. At least that's what I want to believe. I hope they do, and I think it's very likely that they do. In other words, in terms of that run. In other words, what else you guys got? What other questions do you guys want to have answered about Wonder Woman, the Perez run, whatever? We can talk about whatever you guys would like to discuss. You can discuss any Wonder. Do you think Wonder Woman can have other superpowers? I think the ones she has are fine. Like I don't think like she already has super speed because of Hermes, strength, flight, moderate invulnerability. Like it's not ridiculous. Like I do think that they should like pretty much like finalize whether or not she's bulletproof, because I'm personally in favor of her not being bulletproof because of the gauntlets and stuff. I'm fine with that. But as far as giving her like additional powers, nah, I think she's fine the way she is. I don't want to make her too overpowered. That's the point there. Because the minute you start adding on superpowers to characters, they start to become the stakes get lower and lower and lower and lower. What else you guys got? Okay. Is Mongol a Superman villain or something else? Because I heard from somebody he's a Green Lantern villain. He's more of a Superman. He's more associated with Superman in terms of being a Superman villain. Like, I mean, the only reason why he could be considered a Green Lantern villain is because he's in space. But besides that, he's really a Superman villain. So that's what I'll say there. So, but Barry, please keep the questions related to Superman. I mean, related to Wonder Woman. But so, what other Wonder Woman related questions do you guys have in terms of the Perez run? Why I think it's great in terms of like where I would rank it and such. Who's your favorite Wonder Woman villain? Cersei or Grail, because Cersei and Grail both serve that role, and I talked about this last night on Legacy. Cersei is basically the dark reflection of Diana. Same with Grail. Cersei and Grail are like her reverse Flashes in terms of like characters. So I always felt that like they were the most compelling Wonder Woman villains. Nemo says, I remember them trying to spice up her love life with a new Steve Trevor. Didn't they try to see her reaction to a Wonder Woman villain? Yeah, and it didn't work. I'm like, stop giving her love interest. Not every character needs a love interest. That's my point there. I don't think that you need to give every character a love interest, because it's like it's like, I'm not gonna like deal with this, because it's like, the minute that you give her like a serious love interest, the minute most modern writers give her love interest, they make it so she is like that they are, that love interest is all she is. And that's the really stupid part, like what Tom King is doing. Nemo says she also was an ambassador and had to do with Lex Luthor. That was really cool. And that was more in the Jimenez run, which that's the next Wonder Woman omnibus I have in pre-order. I really can't wait for that. But yeah, that's always been like one of the coolest things, is like, this way, it's like with politics, you sometimes have to work with people that you don't like. And I really, really, really dug that. And it's always been like, an idea with like Wonder Woman, where I'm like, yeah, I like it when they delve into her, for lack of a better term, political, because like the one thing I disagree with Rucka is that she's not an inherently political character. People that say that want to force in politics on the character. Can she deal with politics? Yes, but she does. But politics are not an inherent part of her character. They're just not. What else you guys got? What other questions would you guys like to have answered? I'm here for the next hour and a half. Because it could be anything about past Wonder Woman runs, Wonder Woman in general, whatever you guys would like to have answered. I also like that this was a more young Wonder Woman in the Perez run, that was kind of, she was going through the whole, for lack of a better term, it was like a coming of age story, in other words. Nemo says, honestly, I want to see her interacting with more and more cultures. I remember her cringing on how writers were creating a movie about her. She got a gorilla bodyguard to sue. Yeah, exactly. Do you think Wonder Woman's origin, being sculpted from clay or being the daughter of Zeus, changes how she interprets her role? Do I think it changes how she does that? Maybe slightly, but I think maybe kind of Hooded. I do kind of think that, but I kind of prefer it. I mean, again, I prefer the clay origin, but that's just me. Julian says, is the classical Wonder Woman another favorite of yours? By classic, do you mean this, or like the Golden Age Wonder Woman? Golden Age Wonder Woman I haven't read yet, but I've heard mixed things about. So that'll definitely be a run that I discuss in the future for sure. She should be bulletproof like Kryptonians are. Her power levels are already reached that level. Just use magic to divine bullets against her instead of regular ones. And in that way, she still has to use bracelets. It could be like she doesn't know if they're like magic rounds, so she just decides to deflect them anyway. That works. Let her interact more with American culture like she used to. She's basically an immigrant who wants to see what life with us is like. She can also interact with modern Greece and ancient Greece. Yes, exactly. All of that above. That there is so much that you can tell with Wonder Woman that just writers haven't, because they don't like her. That's just, there's no other like explanation as to why writers haven't like delved into this character when there is so much potential with this character. Like, I'm sorry if you're gonna complain that Wonder Woman's tough to write for, but not write like the way she, but not like explore her world within the confines. Guess what? You're gonna have issues. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have issues in terms of like in terms of it being difficult, because ultimately that leads to you repeating the same stories as 80 freaking people. It's really annoying. But Yeah, so that's really my thing on this because again, there is so much that you can explore with Wonder Woman and Superman and all these other characters, but because you don't want to get creative and you want to like coast, in other words, that's when you get like the same story over and over and over again. Julie says, I really do like the idea of Wonder Woman being a demigoddess. Do you think there's a way to make her a demigoddess without making her the daughter of Zeus? I mean, she technically already is because she has the gifts of the gods. And in many ways, she is like, in many ways, she is like the child of the gods. So she already is kind of a demigod. Do you like or hate the writing between her and Bruce? Well, first off, if you're saying chemistry, they have no chemistry. Though this whole Wonder Bat thing was forced upon her by the DCAU writers because they thought of her as a one note character, so they wanted to improve the character. So I'm like, no, that's not. No, in no way is that good. Yeah, in no way. In fact, if anything, the Wonder Bat ship just turns Wonder Woman into the Wonder Therapist, and that just doesn't work. Honestly, she and Superman can go on dates, like the lives explain each other's backgrounds. Remember, Superman is American all the way. He can show her around the place. Yeah, exactly. It's like there's so much that read the Charles Sewell run for Superman and Wonder Woman to see like what Superman and Wonder Woman really go through and how they like teach each other because she is his teacher on like embracing all that he is, but she is also her he is also her teacher in that you don't have to be Wonder Woman all the time, you can take a break. So I do really like that component of their relationship. What else you guys got? What other questions would you guys like answers? I prefer being under the protection and care of Hera and other female deities. We rarely see how Hera is good in Greek mythology. Yeah, it's because they want to like portray her as like a scorned wife because of Zeus, to quote Brit, laying his scroll everywhere. But that doesn't work. And it's like that was one of the parts I liked about a lot of Wonder Woman content is that Wonder Woman and Hera got to get to know each other. In other words, sadly, people like Kelly Thompson, Rucker, and Jimenez, who give it Wonder Woman a rare in the industry. Most writers hate her, and DC keeps hiring them. Why most writers hate her? Because they see her as more of like a job and not like a passion on the character. That's the thing. And it's because again, most writers want to write Batman, and that's really what it is. Why do you think so many writers get Batman really well, except for maybe Tom King? Was there anything you did not like about Wonder Woman in a 2017 movie? The fact that she fell in love with Steve Trevor in like 24 hours. That was something where I was like, no, no, I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that. Everything else I liked about it, but in terms of like that particular like going way too or like really like going way too far into the falling in love part, I was like, I'm not a big fan of that at all. I'm just not. Just not. And I'll also agree that this is the best run. What's up, Cameron? And yes, it is. Again, I long say if you want to get someone into Wonder Woman, you don't even have to give them the omnibus. Give them the trade, Gods Immortals, and that will make them a Wonder Woman fan in for your money back guaranteed. That will work practically. I think I'm about 100% sure that will work. Like bar none. Hey, what's up, Tevia? How you doing? I mean, she is, but that's not her whole story. We forget that she's the patron of mortals. Have stories involving her being the queen of Olympus. Well, I mean, if it's like a Hera like comic book miniseries, yeah. But I don't want I don't want the Wonder Woman books to be about anything other than Wonder Woman and her world. Like Wonder Woman has to be the protagonist of the book. Now, if we get a sensation comic series like NJ and I keep calling for, then yes, 100% you can have that be an ongoing plot in the book. Like one of the like side stories that explores, because you can make sensation comics like like anthology book, and what that does is it like allows for it like allows you to explore these different worlds, and you can a chief of which is the gods. Julian asks, do you prefer Wonder Woman being immortal? I don't like her being old as dirt. I'm fine with her being immortal. In other words, I'm fine with her being like born relatively now and then moving on. And then Hooded says, so who all have they tried to ship her with? Batman, Superman, actually pre-crisis they were supposed to put her with Green Lantern. Some people ship her with Aquaman. A lot of people on Twitter try to ship her with Cheetah, Harley Quinn, and Artemis, which they don't know the character. And what's up, Brit? So Brit's in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and play her intro.
He's back.
Yep. And Nemo says Hera, Athena, Aphrodite can create their own Shazam and have their work with the Wonder Family from time to time. This way, you can expand on the DC universe like you used to. Start by expanding old stuff. Yeah, you can. That's a good idea. You can definitely go with that. And then Cameron says, when it comes to Olympians, do you prefer them to look human or eldritch? I prefer human. I honestly prefer human. That was the other ding that I give on the Brian Azzarello run. Some of the Greek gods' designs were cool, but I don't like Poseidon being a fish man or Athena being an owl woman. I go, no. I particularly don't like Hades being a kid with a candle head. I'm like, no, I do not like that at all. I the only god that I think was designed well was Hephaestus. That's it. My first introduction to Wonder Woman was the Just League show on Cartoon Network. That wasn't a good introduction to Wonder Woman because because again, they made Wonder Woman overly aggressive, and they made her constantly swoon over Batman, and that's just not Wonder Woman at all. That's not the character. Oh wait, I forgot a potential story. Wonder Woman Odyssey. She could be exploring her main universe to see where her lie can take her. She will receive unknown distress signal by helping a damsel. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, it's one of those things. And by the way, Hooded Raven, to be clear, I'm not. There's a lot of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited that I like about Wonder Woman. Let's put it that way. It's not all bad, but I'm like, no. How do you feel about Donna Troy and Kyle Rayner? Because for me, that ship was weird. I haven't read enough to really weigh in on that. But in terms of that, I'm like, I mean, I would have to read more in order to understand if that works. So what other George Perez Wonder Woman questions do you all have? I'm sure the next writer, hopefully Kelly Thompson, will bring back Hippolyta, but what are the chances they bring back Julia? Let me put it this way. If it's a Wonder Woman creative that really knows the character and really loves the character, I think that there's a good chance they bring back Julia and Vanessa. Let me put it this way. If an absolute Wonder Woman, Kelly Thompson brings in the absolute version of Julia and Vanessa, there's no way she doesn't bring them back if she gets assigned the main Wonder Woman book. There's just no way. Do you think Wonder Woman can work in other relationships besides Superman? Aquaman, for one. I think Aquaman could work. Maybe Hal, but I'm more in line with Aquaman because they both understand the pressures of juggling being a superhero and being royalty, being children of two worlds and such. There's a lot of where that could work. So I'm trying to understand something with the Amazons and Perez. They're old souls reborn. So does that mean that any woman that dies gets reborn as an Amazon? Or is it like you have to be killed by a man? I think, and Britt, weigh in on this if you can, or anyone in the chat. I think they have to be like victims of domestic violence. I think, I'm not sure, but someone weigh in on the chat for that. Favorite story moment, the entire origin in Gods Immortals. It really like establishes the foundation around which like most of Wonder Woman has been established. It really is god tier stuff. It is 100% god tier content. Basically, it ain't the best writing from Justice League. Yeah, I agree with that. There's so much better that from the character. It's just ironic, Hooded, because Gail Simone was on the writing staff. You tell me you couldn't get Gail Simone to write Wonder Woman, or if she did, that is really sad. If that's it. If Absolute Wonder Woman does well from beginning to end, will they learn from this and try to? I think they will. I think they definitely will. I think that for in the beginning, here's the way I think it worked in the evolution of how DC saw Absolute Wonder Woman. I think it started off where they were like, okay, it's just is this the absolute brand Wonder Woman, or is this also like the Wonder Woman character in general that's doing so well? A year in and it's still doing so well. Like even the Bleeding Cool best selling of the week numbers came out last night, and she was number 2. Actually, she was the top DC book on that list because the top one was Ultimate Spider-Man, which is also a great show. I'm a great series. I'm not knocking that. But the point is, when you have a Wonder Woman series that routinely is in the top, like, see, every single month it's been like in the top 20 books. That's very rare for Wonder Woman, and it's never happened with the Tom King run as far as I know. So it's like when you look at that level of success for a year straight, I'm sorry, you cannot look at that and not try and like you can't look at that and not go, okay, it's been a year. I think this is more on how the character is written and done. So let's actually try and improve the character. You can't tell me DC is not at least starting to have those conversations. And if that's true, if they are having the conversations, I can't see another scenario where they don't kick Tom King's Wonder Woman to the curb, because that Wonder Woman run keeps going down, keeps dropping, and this one stays in the top books. There is no way you don't like you don't look at that and go, if our main Wonder Woman book is selling like crap, but the main book, it's not, we can't say it's the character anymore. We have to say it is the way we're handling the character, because there is this Wonder Woman series that is doing so ridiculously well. You cannot tell me that. Yes, it was victims of violence. Yeah, exactly. And no, you're fine. Is there any good show that the Reign of Wonder Woman's good? The Tomorrowverse series of movies, practically flawless, gets Wonder Woman 100%. Like Man of Tomorrow, Just Society, World War II. Those animated movies destroy in the best way possible. That they nailed Wonder Woman to a freaking T. To a T, they got her so well. And let's see, what's another good one? Justice League Action got Wonder Woman pretty well. I like that one. And then Britt, what other like animated Wonder Woman do you prefer? I mean, they also got her pretty well in the animated movies. For the Wonder Woman 2009 animated movie was good. The DC AMU before Death of Superman was that. And let's see, before Death of Superman, and then you have New Frontier also is really good. So there's a lot of good animated Wonder Woman content. It's not anything produced by the DCAU. It's definitely not. So what other questions do you guys have for in terms of Wonder Woman? Perez run, how it's a foundation, whatever you guys would like to discuss. Not gonna lie, I love Wonder Woman's hair and George Perez one. Yeah, he drew hair so well. Like they nailed the way Wonder Woman the way Wonder Woman's hair is. It's like it's very like poofy and very like curly. I love that. Yeah, Justice League Action was pretty good as well in terms of an animated show and stuff. And that like featured Wonder Woman. I'm all out of questions. I'm just chilling and listening. It's all good, Raven. You're always welcome, brother. But yeah. So in terms of like where the Perez run will always be ranked as like my #1 favorite like Wonder Woman run. Period. Like. Period. Another thing I love about George Perez run is the artwork. It's basically the foundation of Amazon's Amazon. Yeah, exactly. It is like the post-crisis origin because this is the first run. This is the beginning of post-crisis Wonder Woman, and what a way to begin it. I mean, wow. And then Nemo says, I mean, it's DC. We were supposed to get a Wonder Woman game, but they cancel it. People keep trying to bring a show and movie to her. For the main game, it's just people are lazy and fumble the bag, and it's also like all Wonder Woman like exterior projects, not the comics, have to get approved by the Marstons. So there is that. So you have that Marston contract. But besides that, yeah, it's complicated because you don't have a lot of people that really like Wonder Woman. Do you think Jeremy Adams and Rucka would do that? Yeah, I think so too. It really depends on like. But Adams, I still say is a very safe bet because he brings in a lot of stuff that the fans, he knows what the fans want. Like either he does his research or he just instinctively knows what the fans want to see. Then Britt asked, do you think Gunn will give a respectful Wonder Woman for live action? Oh boy, that's the question, isn't it? It really depends on who's the writer of it. It really, really depends because if it's Tom King, hell no. If it's whoever, if it's the lady that's writing the Teen Titans movie, we'll see. If he actually gets a Wonder Woman writer to do it, then yeah, that's awesome. But if it's Tom King, if it's Tom King, I straight up probably won't go see the movie. I'm just gonna tell you that right there. What would you like James Gunn's Wonder Woman to be about? Probably just use this run as a foundation. Just build off of this. Just build off of this, or even the Rucka run. Use that. I already know that if a director, someone says that they never read or watched the content, they're just making it. I already know it's gonna be a flop. Yeah, exactly. If they say that, like, I was never really a big fan of the character, and I'm like, then why are you working on the project? It's like, and a lot of that translates to like movie like success and such. But yeah, I'm not. But again, I don't think they'll put Tom King on as the writer of the Wonder Woman project because I think DC knows that, at least Gunn knows. Gunn may enjoy King's Wonder Woman run, which in and of itself is a massive red flag. But I don't think he's going to get. I think he knows because he's on Twitter constantly that the fans aren't happy with it. And obviously, he can't say anything to DC about removing him from the runs. That's why he's not going to do that. But in terms of like adapting something to live action, because you need to think about like money, and depending on like how Supergirl does, I feel like here's my fear. If Supergirl does well, they're going to put King on Wonder Woman, the movie. That's kind of my fear. And that's where I'm at, because if it doesn't like do like really well, I don't think they will. But we'll have to really see, because that's going to be like, that's the surefire way to make sure no one wants to see the Wonder Woman movie, is to put Tom King on Wonder Woman. That is a surefire way to make people go, nope, I'm good. I'm good. I am 110% good. What else you guys got? What other points would you like me to address? What other questions from Wonder Woman content would you like for me to address? Can be anything you guys want that's related to Wonder Woman. I have to say that. Anything related to Wonder Woman and her world. Let's see. DC needs to keep Tom King far away from Wonder Woman. Yeah, I think they're starting to do that because at least according to my friend Jim from Weird Science, he says that like DC was going to like kick Tom King to the curb before Gunn came in with the movies because it's like they recognize that he doesn't bring the sales anymore. So what will Jaren say? Supergirl will make $1 billion? No, it won't. No, it won't. Why are you making that assumption? What makes you think Supergirl is going to make $1 billion? Was the Lasso of Truth just a part of the show? No, it's always been part of Wonder Woman from the very beginning of the character all the way in the 40s to like the Marston run. It's always been like a part of the character. Because when you think about it, the character had like bondage origins. So I don't even think Tom King is a fan of Wonder Woman, nor has he read a lot. No, he hasn't. He clearly hasn't. He gets too much wrong for me to think he's read even he probably has. He has read about as much of Wonder Woman as Taika Waititi has of Thor. Yes, I said it. Because Supergirl is the best. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like her movie is going to make $1 billion, bro. You could be a Supergirl fan, but that doesn't mean the movie's going to make $1 billion. Anyway, maybe he'll be too busy, Mr. Miracle. That's my thing. If they put him on a lot of movie projects, it could be he has to step back from like the comics thing. So don't say Taika Waititi. Yeah, what's up, Teladia? I hate that guy. Me too. But don't tell me it's not true. He clearly hasn't read. He clearly hasn't read Wonder Woman comics, Tom King. But that's the point there that I really want to say. Imagine the horror of he who must not be named giving full power to write Wonder Woman. Do not do. All right. Hang on. Since you said his name, Nemo.
Why did you say that name?
Do you think that they should make a Wonder Girl movie after Wonder Woman? Make a Wonder Woman movie and then go off of that. That's basically me with Doctor Who. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, but I swear to God, I can't support it because it's flopping the way it is. Yeah, exactly. And Nogueira is most likely to be the writer, if not Gunn. Yeah, so that's where I'm like, okay, fine. It depends on like how the Titans movie is or like how all of her other DCU projects are, because if they're great, then I'm like, okay, cool, that works. But if they're horrible, then it's like, no. Plus, we have to see how Superman, Supergirl, and Lanterns does, because if all of them don't do well, guess what? The DCU isn't going to advance in the main state. They may because if all three of them don't do well, you're going to see a massive mass cancellation of all of the obscure DC projects, and then they'll probably just mostly be Batman movies. So if these movies don't do well, we're not going to get any other things. And I still doubt Supergirl is going to do as well. It's not going to make $1 billion. I really hope they introduce Donna and Cassie in the movie unit supporting characters. They probably will. Particularly if they, hey, what's up, RJ? They probably will have the Wonder Girls in there, because if Gunn continues his practice of starting these movies in the middle of their careers, I really think that I really think that he will introduce it where there are two Wonder Girls. That at least Donna and Cassie are established. It's kind of like how he's starting Batman, where he already has like the Robin, or like when you have like Superman already exists. I think he's gonna go with that, because it's like because at this point we know the broad strokes of everyone's origin, so we don't need to keep redoing it. In other words, RJ says, I like Amazon's female superheroes too. Me too. I love the Amazons. They're one of my favorite parts of DC. It's also why Wonder Woman is my favorite DC character. So there you go. So, what other cues do you guys have in terms of Wonder Woman and such? Do you think Wonder Woman and Superman should be the same height, or should one be taller than the other? I have no preference on that. I'm not really that like obsessed on like height difference and such, so I'm like, no, I'm not gonna really deal with that. We got to do a pitch idea for a new game from a comic. Oh, you mean do a stream where we talk about what comics could adapt to a Wonder Woman game? Yeah, I'm down for that. Anytime, dude. I'm totally down for that. That sounds like a great idea for a stream. Because there's a lot that you can do for a game that would really like that would make for great gameplay and also great like inspiration, in other words. What other cues do you guys have in terms of Wonder Woman and like Wonder Woman lore, George Perez? Who would you pair as the Plant's Finest heroes? The ultimate version of World's Finest. It would include Wonder Woman and what other hero, or is this just ripping them off? It is a rip off of World's Finest, but if you're talking about who I think Wonder Woman's World's Finest like partner would be, you could do Mira, you could do Zatanna, you could do Dinah. There's a lot of different characters you are, and Britt and I are planning on doing an episode of that. It's just we have so many episodes in our ideas in our backlog that we're going to do. What are your thoughts on giving Wonder Woman a short temper? Hate it. 100% hate it, because that's what you got with the DCAU, and where she's like angry and like she was like angry at people for at like bank robbers, not because they were robbing a bank, but because they were interrupting her day off. And I go, no, that is not what Wonder Woman would do. Like under no circumstances is Wonder Woman going to be like that. I'm sorry. That is definitely not going. That is not Wonder Woman whatsoever. It just further demonstrates that there are a lot of like writers that don't get her, and when they try and get Wonder Woman, they make her an angry warrior. Yeah, exactly, RJ. She's not really an angry person. In fact, if anything, she's like one of the most peaceful people around. That's not who Wonder Woman is. Where with Tom King having her scream at the gods and not care about blasphemy, I go, no. Yeah, Marston would never write her that way. Perez would not write her that way. Rucka, Jimenez, none of these people would write her this way. So when King has Wonder Woman screaming in the face of the gods, saying she doesn't care about blaspheming the gods, I go, that is 100%. That demonstrates your complete ignorance, and I'm going to say it, stupidity on who Wonder Woman is. There is no way that Wonder Woman would ever do that. I think these writers just do self-interest from my audience. Yeah, that's true. That's what it is. Or it's like in King's case, it has to do with his desire to make Steve like the most important part of it, because he self-identifies more as Steve Trevor. Therefore, he wants to like date Wonder Woman, in other words. So he wants to like do that, in other words. Top 3 favorite Wonder Woman artists. That's a good one. Jason Fabok. Obviously, George Perez. You got to go with George Perez, man. And honestly, if I'm going to go with a more modern Wonder Woman writer, probably Jim Lee. I'll go with Jim Lee. Jim Lee is like, so again, it's Fabok. Fabok is the artist on Dark Side War and the new 52 Justice League. George Perez and Jim Lee are my favorites. I mean, it would have been someone she's really close to. It just can't be some random person. It would need to be a hero who she sees as an equal. Batman are duos, but who are equals. They're not really equals, but I can see what you're saying there. Now, I know you said for running for Justice League was terrible, but was she only there to defend women? Is supposed to be everybody. It's supposed to be everybody, but again, there's like a lot of like. Nicola Scott overly, in my opinion. The problem with Nicola Scott is that whenever you look at Wonder Woman's face, she looks high as a kite. Clayface, that's cool. I thought you were going to go as the Super Wonder Art. I mean, he's an honorable mention, but it's like, honestly, actually, you know what? I'm going to add to this. It's a tie between, for number one, Fabok and Tony S. Daniel. I would say that. Who is the one from Superman and Wonder Woman. Thanks for reminding me about that, Teladia. Batman and Superman also fear the respect for power others has. I'm not talking about Batman, Superman on Wonder Woman stream, but still. Do you think Marvel has their own Wonder Woman counterpart? Well, there's Captain Marvel, obviously Carol Danvers, but if you want to talk about a literal Wonder Woman counterpart, and I did this was this week's Under Two Capes, the Squadron Supreme Power Princess. That's literally Wonder Woman right there. That's who I would say is Marvel's Wonder Woman. What other questions? Let's try and get a few more done. Try and get a few more quick questions in. And then we'll wrap up for the week. If Diana has to team up with a non-DC superhero, like from Marvel, Captain Marvel, obviously, I think what would be a good one. If we're talking about non-Marvel, Red Sonja, I would say. Julian asks, who is your favorite Wonder Woman voice actress? Okay, so there's a lot. So obviously, I like Susan Eisenberg. There's Vanessa Marshall. But I have to go with Stana Katic. She voiced Wonder Woman in the Tomorrowverse movies because she kept the precedent of Wonder Woman having an accent, and it sounded like exotic, but didn't necessarily sound like a ripoff of Gal Gadot. Hezekiah and Jay Leno Chin. Yeah, exactly. I hope they do a Wonder Woman and the World book in which all the writers around the world write her. That would be really cool, honestly. And I feel like the door is open for that. I mean, they already are doing a Wonder Woman like how Superman has like Space Age. They're already doing one for Wonder Woman. So they definitely could do a Wonder Woman and the World book. That's actually a really great idea. I was saying in a plant's finance would be our equal in the ability she lacks. I still say that like I still say that like Batman and Superman aren't necessarily equal, so I would go with that. But Perez really gets the Olympians. I wish other writers would look to his run as a template and how to do them. Yeah, it's not that hard. Just look at the Perez run. It's really simple. That's how you write Wonder Woman. I love Susan Eisenberg in Injustice. Yeah, I like the voice actress. I just hate that version of Wonder Woman because that has done extreme damage to the character that she is still trying to recover from. Like, it's because of that you get the idea that, like, Wonder Woman is, like, too aggressive and such. That's where you get that. I hope that the next remake for Vanessa, her Wonder Girl. I don't think Vanessa needs to be the Wonder Girl. I would rather Vanessa have her own identity. Like, maybe she freely becomes Silver Swan, but she can control it and is, like, an ally to Wonder Woman. You could do that. Was Wonder Woman inspired by Superman like Batman? I imagine so. it's like one of the inspirations for for Marston was like a female version of Superman, but like obviously a kind of a different version, not like necessarily the same. So you could have that assumption, I would say. But what else do you guys got? She also has her, yeah, but I don't like I because there's too many Wonder Girls first off, and I don't like again characters get again like someone else's mantle, like that's Cassie's mantle at the very least. Donna has Troya, but I don't like just giving other characters like mantles, as you guys know. How stressful is it diving into these topics? Not really that stressful. It's more like trying to like compile all this information, because there's like a lot of information on these characters that I want to make sure that everyone gets like the most accurate information that I can. Do you think there should be only one Wonder Girl? Yep. And I think that should be Cassie. I mean, I think it's pushing with Yara, but I think that you shouldn't be adding on to Wonder Girls. Like Trinity should not exist for many reasons, beyond which that you can't you can't add on another Wonder Girl. That's not happening. Explain and sum up Wonder Woman that shows and tells you who she is. It could be like a character analysis. Yeah, I got it, but it's not. But yeah, exactly. But in terms of you don't necessarily need a world's finest or planet's finest book to essentially do that. Do you think anything bad would happen if she never left the island? Well, I think that if she never left the island, honestly, that's an interesting Elseworlds concept. But I see a lot I honestly don't know. That'd be an interesting thing to think. I'm gonna have to ruminate on that. That might be a good idea for a Wonder Woman Wednesday video. What other? What about Donna Troy? You don't want to be Wonder Girl? Not anymore, because I think she's overgrown that. It's like when it's like Dick Grayson not being Robin anymore. I feel like she has her own identity with Troya, and that's the way it kind of should be. Sensation Comics when I know I really want that, because then you can make like the Wonder Girls have a story in that. The way I would break it up, Sensation Comics would be an anthology story with 3 stories: Wonder Girls, the Amazons, and the Gods. In other words, there's like a short 3 or 4 page Wonder Girl story, 3 or 4 page Amazon story, and then 3 or 4 page God story, and then all of those combine. And then as the series continues, each of those plot threads is addressed, and maybe they can lead to like a Wonder Woman event, or maybe it just expands on her world and characters. There's like a lot that you can do with a Sensation Comics book that DC just doesn't want to do for some reason. What other questions do you guys have? But yeah, it's like there's like I really only think you need one. Doesn't want to do it for some reason. They don't want money. Exactly. They don't want all the money. I guarantee you that, by the way, going back to a previous answer I gave today, with the success of Absolute Wonder Woman, I don't have you talked to Perez yet? Well, I can't, because the man unfortunately passed away a few years ago, so I really can't. But it would have been an honor to talk to Perez. But going back to what I was saying, it's like when you go to let's see, when you go to the success of Absolute Wonder Woman, no doubt is gonna eventually lead to them investing in Wonder Woman more and maybe giving her a sensation comic. So really, that would exactly, NJ. That at the very least, it may not necessarily lead to King being kicked off. I think there's a good chance it will lead to that. But even if it doesn't, it at least gives them the idea that we should invest more into Wonder Woman because the money is there. So let's launch a sensation comics book that's like an ongoing series to explore her world. They're already investing more in her stuff because you have like the Webtoons book that's going to be exploring the Amazons and like little Diana. They're already investing more into Wonder Woman's world. So I think honestly, it is like inevitable that they explore that. What else you guys said? Something tells me King won't last until he shoots at 35 or 40. You mean that's around the time he gets kicked off? I would say so. That's another like that's a window that I think I've long said 30 to 50 in that 20 issue window. That's when he gets kicked off. One thing, he's not going to reach 100 issues, and that's going to be so much fun because I'm going to be a petty a-hole and tweet at him and go, "Oh, you mean you're not going to get 100 issues? Oh, so sad." So sad. How about we never treat what the good part about it being like extremely isolated is the fact that they don't necessarily have to address anything from it. So that's the good part. That's the good part. What is the worst version of Steve Trevor to you? This version. It's actually two. It is the Tom King Steve Trevor's #1, and then the Greg Rucka Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman Rebirth. That's the worst. And that will be a run that I discuss later and why that is. Like it's the duality of man. Good Rucka in Post Crisis, crappy Rucka on Rebirth. It's amazing how most of Rebirth was utter garbage. I was just thinking about this, but if Diana's identity is public, do you think she can still be a professor at university? Yeah, I think she can be. Because here's the thing. I've long said this. If Superman ever revealed his identity and he was married to Wonder Woman, I would love to do that story just so we can have the supervillains go, oh, come on, let's go attack Superman. We can get payback for everything he put us through. And then the supervillains are like, he's married to Wonder Woman. Are you stupid? That's not going to work for us, bro. And that's how you and that way you can have really explore that, because that's the problem with when He Who Must Not Be Named revealed the identity. He didn't do anything with this. If Wonder Woman had to babysit the Justice League's kids, who would be the biggest troublemaker? Probably Damian. I would say Damian. Damian for sure. Because Damian is I think the troublemaker of the group. Wonder Woman 2009 Steve Trevor. Yeah, he is he's bad, but compared to the two I mentioned, the Tom King and then the Greg Rucka, he's actually a saint. The power couple doesn't call 911. Yeah, exactly. They are 911. That's the best part. It's like they're like, no, we don't have to deal with this. It's like these supervillains are like, are you stupid? We're going to attack Superman, which even if we can take out Superman, his wife is Wonder Woman. That's not going to turn out well for us. I just want them to explore that just so I can have that conversation. That conversation alone would be worth it. I actually, yeah, it actually would be hilarious that Dan teaches at his school, and the reason no one attacks because Dr. Psycho tried to mind control people as students. He was in the hospital for nearly a year. Yeah, exactly. That would be dope. I would love that. There is so much that they definitely can explore, and there's so many good stories that they could do. That's why I don't accept it when writers say that like Wonder Woman is so hard to write for, because I'm like, she's not. You just have to be willing to actually like put in the work and think. See, you have to put on your thinking caps and actually do the stories, because guess what? I mean, Britt and I proved with the Shelterverse that you could do new stories that get people obsessed. If you look at the comments on like Shelter from the Storm per se, people say this is way better than the actual Wonder Woman run. So I'm like, yeah, that's Britt and I. Do you like Wonder Woman wearing glasses? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'd rather write Wonder Woman than Superman. Me too. Me too. If I had the choice, I would. Like I've long said that if DC gave me the opportunity to write whatever character I wanted, it would be Superman. Like, yeah, that's 100% who I would write. The Crisis on Infinite Earths movies are interesting. Yeah, that's also really good with Wonder Woman, to the point where she rides a freaking T-Rex and was able to talk to it because she can talk to animals. That's where I was like, oh, you know it. You know Wonder Woman really well. Man, I hope we won't have to wait longer for her Politics return, because she's been wasted for 4 to 5 years. Yeah, I know. And we'll see what happens with that. I'm because you could make Hera the H in for Mary Marvel. You don't need Hippolyta to be in there, and I'm like, no, don't do it. That was a stupid idea to begin with, making Hippolyta a god. I go, no, I'm not in favor of that. I was never in favor of that. But I feel like that should really be like retconned out. I didn't know she could talk to animals. Honestly, yeah, she can. It's a power that's rarely explored, but she can. Absolute Wonder Woman explored it. That's again, it's like Absolute Wonder Woman Absolute Wonder Woman is giving me Perez vibes. That's how good it is. I really love a Superman Wonder Woman movie. What would you want it to be about? Just take the Power Couple comic by Charles Sewell and adapt that to screen. Take that, just give that to the writer and say, turn this into a movie. There you go. It's Wonder Woman versus, first off, we get to see live action Henry Cavill Superman beat the crap of Apollo. That's always good. And then you get to see Superman and Wonder Woman versus Zod and Feora. You know, those evil Superman and Wonder Woman. There's so much that you could do. There is so much that you could do with that. But let's get some final questions in, and then we'll wrap up for the week. Like a final one from each, and then we'll wrap up, and then we'll get going. Imagine Diana just asking her students the first day of class what they know about the Olympians, everything she's told she used to mock her family. Yeah, exactly. And she's like, well, that's definitely not true. And it's like that one scene in Batman versus Superman where Diana is listening to Lex talk about Prometheus and the gods. And she just goes, like, she's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I just love that scene. That's like one of the most like nuanced scene in the movie. If you really pay attention, you can actually and you would know what Diana is thinking. That's why Gal Gadot was such a good choice to play Wonder Woman, because she gets Diana's mannerisms and stuff, like when she's knocked back and she just smiles because she has a challenging fight. I love that. I mean, Wade already did, or as you said, any of that. So I mean, if you already did that, then just let Hippolyta be reborn. That's it. Dan Snyder's take on Wonder Woman, good or bad? Who is Dan Snyder? I forget. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, is that the one where she was like she had a kid with Bruce and stuff? Yeah, I hate that. That's a stupid idea. Again, stop putting Wonder Woman with Batman. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. Stop trying to make Wonder Bat happen. It's not gonna happen. But anyway, so I think that let's wrap that up. So as far as so next week we're going to be talking about the Gail Simone Wonder Woman run, and I'll talk about that. Wait, is there a Wonder Woman live action show that you did not like? Not really. I liked a lot of them because the regular the one with Linda Carter got a lot right, and it's good for that version of Wonder Woman of the time. It's the same thing with Chris Reeve's Superman. I said the wrong name, Zack Snyder. I liked Zack Snyder's take on Wonder Woman. The stuff that's actually in the movies, I liked a lot. He understood the character really well. But so in other words, okay. So next week is Gail Simone. I'll be critiquing that because there's a lot that I don't like in that run. In terms of Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I will be celebrating 100 episodes this coming Saturday at 9 p.m. So be there for that. For Movie Night, we're going to be talking about Transformers 1. And for Under Two Capes, I got to think about what I want to do. Same thing for Wonder Woman Wednesday. But yeah, I hope to see you guys around. Thanks for showing up. And stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Steve Trevor, Steve Never, he belongs 85 feet in the ground on the surface of the sun. Zois and Max about for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.